Hello, everybody, and welcome to La Terra et la Vertu, a new chronicle that I have been planning and running set in the most intense, most violent days and nights of the French Revolution, leading to its climactic moment. I'm super duper excited to bring you this chronicle starting today with three incredible players. I'm Beck, I'll be your storyteller for this chronicle. And before we get into it, I will get our three players to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Adam Hembry. I'll be playing the character Remy Sinjin.
I'm Jack. I'll be playing Madame la Comtesse de Visage.
And hi, my name is Syrinx and I will be playing Mayel Cadieux.
Lovely. Now, to set the scene of this particular night, leading up to this point, there has been a multitude of riots, starvation, political maneuvering in the city of Paris. What once was a fairly peaceful society of hierarchy, order, structure, and divine right that everybody fully understood and accepted for the better part of a millennium has started to fray and crumble around the edges. So much so that in recent months, a legion of deputies representing the third estate, that which represents the peasantry, the working class, those that do not claim either noble titles or clerical positions, have risen up, fought verbally mostly against the king, and situated themselves in a position of power wherein they claim to represent the French government, fully independent from the king's divine right, his authorial autonomy over French society. And as this happens, all sectors of French society feel the reverberations of change, of a resetting of life, of culture, of everything that they deem important. Now, a few months after this cataclysmic event, when the very foundations of political life, of society, are upheaved and reset to back to net zero in a sense, we hone in on the middle of a Parisian street, not unlike any other. It's wide cobbled road, sort of separating rows of large, boxy yet baroque, beautiful buildings that are pretty much well kept, show signs of age, of wear, of usage for the most part. It is what you would deign as probably a working class area. Guilds and workshops and shop fronts and such definitely work out of this area. And Maël, you find yourself standing in the middle of this street, being dropped off here by your sire Caius not too long ago, after spending much of the night together. It is now late in the evening, and the street is strangely deserted, whereas usually at any hour of the night it would be bustling with people from all walks of life, either going somewhere or operating out of this area. One or the other. Usually you would find many signs of life here. You frequent places like this rather often. Yet, this night, it's oddly quiet, discerningly so. How does Mael present herself on the street this night? What does she look like? What is she doing?
She doesn't really stand out all that much if you look at the lower classes, middle classes of France in that time. She's wearing a kind of peasant shirt and wanting to somewhat fit in, uh she is wearing pants, but they are very flared so that it kind of looks like it's a skirt if you don't look up too close. Um her hair is tied back, and she is walking around, probably trying to find. Is this the night that they were supposed to meet, or is this?
Your compatriots are supposed to be here tonight. Or at least one of them you probably would have planned to meet. Caius he has gone. You have spent the night together training, in the way that you do. He has dropped you off here specifically. He was quite adamant on this location, but he didn't say why. He has just dropped you here and left, vanished, quickly and without word or thought, as he is wont to do.
If he dropped me here, then that means I'm supposed to meet someone, see something here. So I think I'll be pacing rather vigorously, especially since no one is in the neighborhood. I can't really leave, but it sure looks like my L wants to.
Certainly. There is a restlessness about her. She paces the cobbled street from row of buildings to row of buildings and back again. Before long, right down the end of the street, there is a bridge that goes over the Seine down to the south of Paris, and onto the street just of the north of the river where he has dropped you off now. And you start to hear vaguely a sound of... It's difficult to discern. White noise, perhaps? But it is coming from the south, from the river. It's difficult to make out exactly what it is, only that it seems all-encompassing, and rather quickly, it seems to be growing louder and louder and louder. And before long, you notice that the street down, looking towards where the noise is coming, begins to fill up with the clamour of footsteps, with raging people, with the sounds of metal against cobble, with the sounds of wooden shoes against the ground, the sound of people talking to each other, and not just a few people either. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people, lots of voices, male and female. The ones that are closest to you, you definitely make out to be the voices of women. And they are getting closer rapidly. You see them rise over the sort of hill on which you stand on the other side. They're all wearing garb that is not dissimilar to your own. Stays on the outsides of undershifts and things like that. Sort of detachable pockets that hold all kinds of things. A lot of them are carrying sickles and pitchforks and peasants' tools and such like this. You maybe even recognize some of them from the workshops and factories that you frequent around these areas on occasion.
Suppose he dropped me off here for this, and I mean, even if he didn't, I don't think he would mind all that much. So I will step aside, maybe look if there are any buildings nearby, if I perchance find some kind of tool myself. If not, I will make sure I get one afterwards. But I will try not to get any attention. But if they come close enough, I am definitely planning to join them.
You have a little time, so I will get a Wits Investigation from you.
Yep. It's 5 dice, baby.
Ooh, not bad.
I have 5 successes.
Wow.
There you go.
Nice.
Do I find my
First roll
pitchfork? Do I find my pitchfork?
First roll, 100% success rate. Yeah, you know this area rather well, like I said, and you're able to sort of look over onto the other side of the street, and you find a workshop there, one you've probably been in a few times. You may know a few of the workers there yourself. You manage to run inside, and there are a few, sort of freshly blacksmithed pitchforks and things of that nature in there that you can take. Take your pick from one that's short, one that's long, all of this kind of thing. And once you do grab the weapon of your choice, what do you grab, by the way? There is everything here. It seems as though they are making things for almost such a purpose.
I think I'll just go with like some kind of club thingy. Not supposed to be sharp, but if you hit someone on the hand with it, they're definitely out for a bit.
Yeah, certainly. A blunt club type weapon. They have them there alongside, you know, sort of melee martial weapons and such like this as well. This is a blacksmith store that they sell weapons to the nobility and guard and such. And you grab one, you come out, and the crowd is upon you in this moment. You see that they sort of streak all the way across down the hill to the river. There are thousands and thousands of people here, mostly women in the front that you can see towards the back. There are men in part of this crowd as well. And you can sort of hear things that they're saying, catching snippets of conversation between them or things that they are yelling out. Things like death to the queen and lots of chanting of bread, bread, bread over and over again. A lot of them look angry. You know, furious even, working themselves up into a frenzy.
I think as I join into the crowd and I can kind of hear the mumblings, I think I'll still go over to someone with like my weapon in hand, making like the stereotypical like movements that you're so ready to bash someone, and say, "So what's the plan? Where are we going?" Loving the enthusiasm.
It is a woman at the front of the crowd. She looks older, probably about 40 or so. You've probably never seen her before, but she looks at you, sort of side eyes you with these dark brown eyes of hers, and says,
I give her a dashing smile back, by the way.
Yes, she returns it with fervor and says, "We're marching all the way to Versailles, dear. You see, it is the queen, the one who eats constantly, hoards all of the food in that fucking palace of hers. It's been too long. And now, with the bad harvests that we've had, the way that people are going starving in this city, the women have been talking for months and months. It's time to take it back. And if she is the root of the problem, we must pull it out."
It is unfair that we should not get to eat while she lavishly stays in the palace eating all she wants. What is the city, after all, without the working people?
Indeed. What is the city without people? A ghost town. The greatest city in the world reduced to absolutely nothing because of the indulgences of the few, of this queen who takes and takes and gives nothing back, never leaves the walls of her palace, has never seen the working people of this city. Why should we work for her when she does not work for us?
And I'm pretty sure she could rule over a ghost town just as well as she could rule over this town currently.
I'm sure it wouldn't make a difference to her. You're absolutely right.
Well, let's go get back the food that we deserve then.
Let's. What is your name, dear?
Oh, you can call me Mael.
Mael.
Yours?
Francine, pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure is all mine.
And the two of you, amidst this crowd, which grows impossibly larger and larger as you exit the city of Paris, the middle of the city, into the suburbs on the outskirts, and then travel walking through the country, what seems like the rest of the night, wherein you arrive at the Palace of Versailles and march up to the front door. The people bash on the door of the palace, demanding the head of the queen, demanding the king come out and face the masses of starving people that have made up this city of the past few months, of which they have done nothing about either. They don't show their faces. The palace is stormed. The royal family are gone. And it does nothing that the crowd wanted, and yet makes a huge reverberating change throughout the attitudes the mindsets of the people of Paris as they realize that if they are able to come together like this as a group and demand something that they all want collectively, then they will instigate fear. They will assert themselves in a way that demands change and respect. And the king, for all the silver, measly, insignificant strands of power that he tries to cling to, are ripped from his grasp by this act of revolution. And thus, we move several years, actually, into the future. Lucretia, such an event as this, the marching of hundreds of thousands of women across the countryside to demand something that they so needed from the king, had an effect on you as well, a resounding effect, and has caused you to change your thinking in a lot of ways also.
Yes.
But we move a little into the future for you. The king tried, after this event, to keep these strands of power within himself, and yet this new government that formed in his stead slowly continued to take and take and take more and more of these away from him, until finally it was decided in a flurry of words and voices and speeches made by the most radically thinking revolutionaries in the entire city that perhaps we shouldn't deem the king as a citizen of France. He's not quite that. If it is his job to rule, it is not his job to live in this new society, and thus they order his execution. The date is the 21st of January, 1793. Much awaited for various different reasons by various different groups of people, demographics, classes within Paris. Everybody, regardless of what they think about is what is going to happen this night, have gathered in the Place de la Révolution to bear witness to this cataclysmic event, the erasure of 1,000 years of history, the erasure of all of the things that Louis XIV did for Paris, for France, for everything that French modern society has come to represent and mean. The erasure of all of that for something new, something different, something perhaps even sacrilegious, at least from what a lot of people think. You are among this crowd, Lucretia. How is she presenting herself this night?
She's of two minds, because I think she was in great support of the women's march as they were marching, and then immediately was not a part of it when they reached the Palace of Versailles and started breaking stuff. So she's trying to represent that in how she looks. She still has her wig, not her biggest. She has a lovely gown, not her largest. She's this in-between of everything that nobility should be, so that her fellow nobles will not deem her some revolutionary herself. But she is not in her full self. She's using her fan, as she always does, to conceal a lot of her face, in which is expressing far too much joy. I think she's truly enraptured by everything that's going on, and the fact that every single one of the people who are against each other are all here now for this one thing, for something new, something old is being destroyed. And so she's of two minds, but she is she can't help but feel giddy, but she knows that she should.
Absolutely. You muscle your way into the crowd, so you get a significant view of the pedestal, this wooden sort of portable makeshift thing that they've put in the middle of the square that holds the soul guillotine on top of it. The blade sort of attempted to have been wiped clean, but they haven't quite been able to do so given the amount of executions that are occurring. Even in this time.
No way.
Indeed. You find yourself standing next to one Dorian Everest, who before the revolution used to be the sheriff of the Camarilla, now is sort of just floating in a kind of political limbo like the other members of your new sect. Do you have any words for him? He sort of gives you a side eye. His face impassive as always, and doesn't say much to you. Anything, actually.
I think as she holds her fan up, she'll side-eye him as well and be like, I wonder where we shall fit when all of this is taken away.
Hopefully we do still fit in their new idea of a new world. Somehow I don't know if we will.
Well, perhaps we should find a way, guarantee our place, as we have before.
Sounds like something you'd say. How much you suppose we could do that? Because right now I'm seeing our final option taken away from us as we speak.
She holds back like a jitter as he asks that question. She's just, it might come across as like a shiver of fear of like, oh no, someone's gonna get hurt, but it is excitement as he asks how. And she just says, well, I fear, or more I hope, that we can do it together, regardless of what happens.
I fear as though we may have to, Madame de Visage.
I must help.
At that, the king is brought forward. A cart, nondescript, sort of wooden cargo cart more than anything else, with him bound and tied in white, yellowing peasant's rags that he's clearly come straight from his prison cell at the conciergerie. Is brought forward up the steps onto the pedestal by two members of the new guard, wearing the tricolor colors of the French Republic, the new Republic, and is brought forward, hands tied, held, and he stands there for a moment, looking across the crowd at his former subjects, who now look at him with a combination of scorn, agony, of a various number of deep emotions. His crown still placed, perhaps somewhat mockingly, on his head. He opens his mouth to speak and says, "Citizens of France, I wish to express my..." And then his voice is drowned out suddenly by the beating of war drums from either side of the guillotine as they start up. He continues speaking. Nobody can hear what he's saying. The drums grow louder and louder and louder, each of the drummers looking dead straight at him.
As the drums are going, she uses heightened senses, which is bad because the drums are loud, but she's so desperate to hear what this man's final words are. So she risks, and she's like, uses it to look like she's really troubled by this, but it's just, she has to be like, oh, what is his final words? What is the final words about?
Yes. He falters. He says, I wish to express my condolences that it has come to this, and that I could not foresee the sake of this nation and make it a better place for all of you. For that I'm sorry, and for that I hope that the God who has forsaken me may find root in another and bring you all to salvation regardless. And the drums keep going. He is brought down to the guillotine, placed underneath its blade, and just like that, the executioner brings the rope down, and his head is severed from his shoulders, almost anticlimactically, almost as if it should have been more. If all of the things that those revolutionaries were saying about the king not being a real man, about him being something else, because he is in fact a king, it should have been different somehow. Yet he bleeds like any other. There is a cheer from the crowd as many people are ecstatic with what has just happened. People clamber up onto the pedestal itself, and you can see Lucretia. A man sort of grabs the crown which has rolled away from the king's head, brings his other hand into the puddle of blood which has formed at his neck and smears the crown in the king's blood, starts muttering something to himself incoherently. With heightened senses, you can hear that he is praying to a, actually, make an intelligence academic check for me.
Oh, okay. Oh, intelligence academics. Does this have anything to do with philosophy?
No, not quite.
Okay. 2 successes.
2 successes.
Yes.
What he says is, Jack McQuay, thou art avenged. And you've heard this name before, in some kind of a historical context. You know that he is a historical figure in France of some significance, but you can't quite place where. You've heard it before in the specific context, but he is muttering this to himself over and over again, as he smears the blood of the king over the crown.
She'll probably do like a hand out to Everett next to her, like, she is shaken by this because it is such a display, and she also just needs to keep up the front. But I think that excitement as he is killed and it is so mundane, it immediately is replaced by like fear. And she, like, this has just been her roller coaster during the revolution of like, oh my gosh, look at all of this stuff. No, this can't happen. So that has happened again, this roller coaster of, oh my gosh, new things are happening. Oh, he's dead. Oh, our king's gone. Like, she's on that roller coaster.
Yeah. As are many others, I think. There are perhaps even some aristocrats, upperclassmen that you know, Lucretia, that have dressed down significantly for this event to try and blend in, who are doing a very poor job of hiding their shock, their fear, their disgust at this particular display. And it is this sort of flurry of emotions that is at once overwhelming and sort of forces you, I suppose, to embrace whatever emotional response you are having and brings it to the forefront, even if it's not quite the same as anybody else's in the square in this particular moment. And this shapes the revolution too, for it gives the new National Convention essentially free rein now to not have to look to a kingly figure for matters of veto or signing off on anything. Now they have executive power to take France into their own hands, for better or for worse. We go back a little now in time to the 2nd of September, 1792, where Remy, you have been summoned by the Archbishop themselves, who only go by the name Brachiel, named after an angel, of course, Tzimisce things, to attend a particular rally in order to seize more power in Paris. They have seen things radicalizing. They have even orchestrated some of this radicalization themselves, to the point where it has come to a stage in which it will be possible to seize even more of this power. Go that extra step. Take a little more back for the Sword of Cain. You find yourself among, very similarly to the Women's March of the 5th of October, 1789, a rabble of people, of Cainites and kine alike, who march across the Seine onto the island in its center, where stands the Cathedral de Notre Dame and also the Conciergerie, which used to be a fortress, quite a famous one in medieval Paris, but has been transformed by the revolution and by a change in needs, given all of the happenings that it has brought about, into a prison, essentially. The principal prison in the entire city. The Archbishop wants this crowd of people, this crowd of radical people, working class people, people who are angry at the priests, at the clergy, the old First Estate of the Ancien Regime, for declaring loyalty not first to France, but first to the Vatican. They need to go. They are not revolutionary enough. They do not understand the priorities of the new republic. And everybody in this crowd is of firm agreement of the fact they are a danger to everything that France has built since the moment of revolution. You find yourselves among this crowd of people, this mob, at the bequest of the Archbishop themselves. And as you enter into the conciergerie, the guards let you in, as though this is preordained in a way. By whom? You're not quite sure. It seems a little too easy, however. You wind down the passages and, going by, noticing that if somebody is wearing the cloth of the Catholic Church, their cell is raided. Doors are ripped off hinges and they are devoured, they are slaughtered in any which way, creatively, by humans, by Cainites, by whoever can get to them first. A massacre. Where are you in all of this?
I think that Remy would be walking slowly, cane in hand, just kind of down the center of this open space where this is happening, and just taking everything in. And I think he'd be watching with great interest the behavior of the people who are at the peak of their frenzies, if they are literally in frenzy or not, and listening. And I think he would activate Sense the Unseen as well, and just have a quick look around to see if there's anything untoward or exciting happening.
Yeah, certainly. You notice there are sort of blood sorcery ward-esque things on some cell doors, and some doors leading to other rooms within the fortress itself. No obfuscated Cainites or anything stand out to you. They are all sort of at the peak of their nature in this particular moment. They're all out there plain for the world to see in this particular case. Nosferatu showing their bane off in a way that Sabbat Nosferatu are wont to do on occasion. Even displays of blood sorcery happening out in the open as they find a priest and all of their vitae sort of flows from their body into the mouth of a tremere that is waiting ready, manipulating the blood and blood magic through gestures of the hand and such. As you watch on and listen, everybody is sort of swearing, crawling over one another. A lot of fury frenzy from what you can observe as the beast sort of comes out of people because of all of this, because of a genuine hatred that has, sort of built in them from all of this about the priests declaring not loyalty to the nation, and this kind of patriotic frenzy that brings forward a kind of choleric fury in a lot of these Cainites, is that they truly and devoutly believe in the revolutionary cause, so much so that their beast enacts this belief in this particular moment. As you sort of stroll within, you can hear a voice from in front sort of coming towards you, sort of egging people on, that sort of say, yeah, that one, he used to work at that cathedral down in the 7th district. God, a real fucking pain in the ass. And make sure you do him good. I don't want any of him left. His face fucking so fucking ugly. And you hear this voice, this sort of booms above all of the others, sort of make its way slowly towards you. A sort of 3-pointed hat, a militaristic garb that he wears. A sort of a blue new National Guard coat that he wears also. This is Francois Henriot, a toreador, also a member of the Sabbat, and famously an instigator of crowd action of this particular nature. You know he would be loving this particular situation. He gives you a toothy grin as he comes up to you and says, how are you enjoying the show?
Remy will tip his top hat that he always wears. He's dressed shabbily, but fine, if that makes sense. Yeah. It looks like a very old kind of a long kind of maroon purplish jacket, plum colored, I think would do it, and a vest of similar hue and a top hat much the same. And he'll give a kind of bow of acknowledgement, a top hat, and say, what a delightful evening to attend mass.
I agree. I haven't been to church in fucking forever. This is a nice way to dust off the old tomes, the old books, the old priest robes, so to speak.
And what a fitting master of ceremonies you are.
The only one, really, they could have chosen. The Archbishop knows best about these kinds of things. How are you finding everything?
Tasteful.
I'm glad to hear it. Have you partaken yet? It's wonderful. That, that Catholic blood, nothing quite like it.
Well, I am a Cainite of particular tastes. Perhaps I shall go indulge in both of them. And then Remy will bow and then just wink and then walk over towards... he's going to find somebody who looks like they've got new Cainite energy, like this kind of... the Cainite equivalent of like somebody who's on their first night out where they can drink legally, like someone who is just absolutely losing it, probably a fledgling.
Yeah.
And then just get close and watch and sort of take that in. And then his goal is to activate Leith's kindness.
Great.
And take that memory from that kindred.
Certainly.
That one is his own.
I'll get a rouse check as you approach this sort of probably an older looking man, perhaps about 40 or 45. He's wearing the sort of bourgeoisie blacks that a lot of them wore. A sort of black coat with a white cravat and white underneath that is stained with red. And you can sort of tell from his jerky movements and such that he's never quite done this before, but there's a smile on his face that speaks of a kind of childish innocence in this particular case, as he sort of stands over this this sort of parish priest wearing the brown robes of a monk of some description, and is sort of said, this is for my sister, and this is for my mom, and this is for my dad who committed suicide because you fuckers told him he was going to the devil. And he's sort of telling all his life story to this guy as he starts to rip into him and such.
Oh, that is just perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so the rouse check is a success.
Lovely.
And Remy is gonna lean down once he's finished this priest off and like drained him or whatever it is he's going to do. He's gonna lean down and say, I have a gift for you. I'm going to give you 2 first tastes. And then he's going to activate Leith's kindness and take the memory of that kill from him, or her, whoever this was, and have that to remember.
Yeah, certainly.
So I need to roll
manipulation or specs, and I'll roll intelligence resolve for this.
Yeah.
Man who is just thriving. Not long to be thriving, but oh.
Yeah, that's 4 successes.
Against my 1.
Lovely. Well, if I want to, I think that might mean I get extra ones, but I don't know if I want to glut myself.
You can just take the 1 if you desire to.
Yeah. I'm here to make friends.
Yeah, absolutely. His eyes sort of glaze over. A very strange sensation. Do you think Remy would have had his memories taken before in the past? Does he know what it feels like?
I imagine it's a rather difficult thing to know for sure, but I'm going to say absolutely yes.
Yeah.
I think very long ago.
Okay.
But the sensation, as Remy recalls it, is there's a sort of fog at the edge of remembering a dream when you've woken up but you haven't moved yet.
Yeah.
And you've got these echoes of a sensation or a phrase or something like that, and you can feel it leave.
Yes.
Almost as though when you try to say it, it leaves your mouth like it's gone.
Yeah.
That feeling.
It's a dream that is so incredibly visual and present whilst you're having it. And as soon as you wake up, you can feel it actively receding from your mind. And you can see him sort of squint and frown as though in longing or something. And he sort of blinks and looks around him and he's... Oh. This is real good, isn't it?
So good. Look around, my friend.
Yeah.
Feast.
Fucking Catholic Church, man. They've had this coming for years, I swear to God.
You should.
Yeah.
I hear he is here.
Well, not for much longer.
Indeed.
Yes. And he goes off and finds another and says exactly the same things as he did to the previous one, as though he is unconsciously recalling the actions that he has just taken. And, like you said, experiences this ecstasy once more over. And that is where the scene fades for you in 3 nights of unadulterated massacre until there are no non-juring priests of Paris left in the entire city, until they're all wiped out. And the only priests left are those who treat the Catholic Church as a French institution rather than one that spans outside of its borders. A very odd thing. But the seeds of patriotism are sown in a way that makes room and way for religion to take on a remarkably different flavor in the years to come, even in the months to come, as the National Convention grows in popularity, power, notoriety, as their iron fist over Paris becomes more and more steadfast. We move now into the future, almost at the beginning of the chronicle itself. To, specifically, the 8th of June, 1794, in the Place de la Révolution once again. For the first time since they brought the guillotine into the square, when they started conducting executions in such a manner, it is removed. For this night only. For the festival of the Supreme Being. Robespierre has been teasing this for months and months and months. Changing churches within Paris, ones that used to be home to the priests that have now gone, into cults of reason, so he likes to call them, wherein we can worship man, we can worship humanity as being divine in its own right. Each individual holds God within him or her. Each individual is a god, in a sense. This is the truth that Robespierre preaches. This is the only truth that exists in revolutionary France now. If you claim some strange heresy against it, you are an enemy of the revolution and do not have a place within his new Republic of Virtue, essentially. The Festival of the Supreme Being is thus. People, humans of all kinds, of all backgrounds, of all walks of life, gather in the Place de la Révolution this night, where they have set up some kind of makeshift mountain type thing. It looks like some type of pastoral hill or something like that, where people stand wearing Roman-esque garb and such, and are holding various things like fruit and hunks of gold that are clearly stolen from the royal treasury by the implant of Louis XIV's face on them and such. Holding all of these things that seem very much like offerings. And at the top of this mountain, in full white Roman garb with a golden belt around his waist, is Maximilian Robespierre himself. And he stands there, stoic, unmoving. All of the people, all of the kindred, all of the Cainites that stand beneath him, his voice reaches throughout the whole Place de la Révolution, perhaps even further. As he starts to speak, preach for the cult of the Supreme Being, this new creation that he has come up with in the frenzy of revolution. And he preaches thus: "The day, forever fortunate, has arrived, which the French people have consecrated to the Supreme Being. Never has the world which he created offered to him a spectacle so worthy of his notice. He has seen reigning on this earth tyranny, crime, and impostors. He sees at this moment a whole nation, grappling with all the oppressions of the human race, suspend the course of its heroic labors to elevate its thoughts and vows towards the great being who has given it the mission it has undertaken and the strength to accomplish it. He did not create kings to devour the human race. He did not create priests to harness us like animals to the chariots of kings, and to give the world examples of baseness, pride, avarice, debauchery, and falsehood. He created the universe to proclaim his power. He created men to help each other, to love each other mutually, and to attain to happiness by the way of virtue. Republican Frenchmen, it is yours to purify the earth which they have soiled, and return the justice that they have banished. Liberty and virtue together came from the breast of divinity. Neither can abide with mankind without the other. The monster which the genius of kings has vomited over France has gone back into nothingness. May all the crimes and all the misfortunes of the world disappear with it. Frenchmen, you war against kings. You are therefore worthy to honor divinity. Hatred of bad faith and tyranny burns in our hearts, with love of justice and the fatherland. Our blood flows for the cause of humanity. Behold our prayer, behold our sacrifices. Behold the worship we honor thee." And he goes on, and speaks at length in a lofty tone about this idea, the Supreme Being, the part of us, the virtuous part of every person standing in the Place de la Révolution this day, that speaks to a sense of divinity. This is unheard of in many senses, to deny God in favor of divinity in man itself. Many people are shocked. Many people waver at this. Many people are interested and take to it well. Perhaps many more people pretend to. Who knows? Mael, you are here as well. You see Francine, the woman you met during the march on the 5th of October 1789, one of the barons of Paris. even to this night, standing far off in the corner, away from the crowd, though still there, watching, just in sight. She doesn't like what she's hearing, you can tell that much. Lucretia, you know that Julienne de Lyon is here somewhere. You don't know where. She said she would be here, though. This is a big event. Most people in Paris are here to listen to what Robespierre has to say. Remy, you spot the Archbishop up close to Robespierre, one of the people standing on the mountain itself, holding out one of these offerings that Robespierre is speaking of, placing themselves in perhaps a subjugated position for this particular event. Difficult to tell. Maëlle, you see a man walking through the crowd, rousing people up. You hear him before you see him. Listen to what this man has to... It's really important stuff. You need to make sure you listen. It's... Forget everything you know about God and shit. Doesn't matter anymore. That we've finally got it right. We finally understand. And he goes around and tries to rile people up, tries to get them listening, especially those who seem less enthusiastic about all of this lofty religious drivel. He gets to you and he says, have you heard what he's saying? It's so good, isn't it? Are you enjoying speech?
I'm enjoying part of it, yes. It's just very startling, isn't it?
Different, for sure. It's nice to hear somebody talk sense for once, don't you think?
Yes, well, it's revolutionary indeed. We have never talked about leaving behind God, and all of a sudden someone dares to speak up and talk about us as godly beings.
What do you think about it?
I think my opinion is still forming.
Fair enough. Make sure you keep listening, because it's
all kind of new, it takes some time.
Yeah, fair enough. If you have any questions, just find me in the crowd, because, man, I'm so excited about this. It's breaking away from all this Catholic shit. For the first time in history, we get to find power in ourselves, man. It's so good, so exciting. I'll see you around.
What's your name?
Francois.
Pleasure to meet you. I won't keep you any longer. Go spread your word.
Yeah, not my word. His word. Lucretia.
After he leaves...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, go on.
After he leaves, I will just make my way over to Francine. But that's...
Absolutely. You make your way over there slowly. And as you do so, we'll cut briefly to Lucretia. What do you think about all of this?
She is completely caught up in the hype that is built around it. The minute he starts, every time humanity is mentioned, she's like, okay, we don't have to talk about that bit. Yes, the justice, when it comes to anything to do with self and being oneself godly, she's like, I am that. I am this being, this entity. And he's like, we as humanity, we as Frenchmen, she's like, yeah, me! So she's taking what she wants from this, and she's just like, yes, the supreme being, we don't need the church. She's getting caught up with it, but she is using her understanding of etiquette and stuff to... She's always going along with whatever's going on, while simultaneously making sure that the people who would disagree to it see that she's like, I'm just putting on an act. She's playing every side at once, but she is internally just like, I am the best. I am the deity. I love this church idea. But her main forming idea, the one thing that is truly sitting in her heart, in the back of her mind, is this belief is strong, it is palpable, and what it is it's faith. It's Robespierre's faith in this idea. Can he keep it? She watched the king believe in France and peace and he was killed. And she is now like, it's your turn to hold the fate of France, of Paris.
Yeah, for sure. He goes on and expounds upon this in a way in which he seems completely incorruptible, at least in this moment. And before long, you sort of notice that a young man, as he looks young, is sort of making his way through the crowd, shaking people's hands, introducing himself, getting to know everybody in the crowd.
Right?
Sorry?
I would recognize him. It's like Francois from the Sabbat because I was.
This guy, I don't know if you would recognize him. Actually, you probably do. Make a an intelligence politics roll for me.
Intelligence politics, huh? Politics. That is 4 successes.
Okay, great. This young man is Louis-Antoine de Saint-Just, and he has come here from somewhere else to join the National Convention, and has sort of kicked up a storm in a lot of ways. The really super duper popular revolutionaries of Georges Danton and Camille Desmoulins used to be the sort of right and left hand of Robespierre, and rumour is, at least, that Saint-Just spoke a lot in Robespierre's ear, and now Danton and Desmoulins are both dead, and Saint-Just is both the right and left hand of Robespierre at once. This is what you've heard on the street with 4 successes.
So that's Saint-Just.
This is, yeah.
Got it.
Eventually, he comes up to you and says, I haven't seen you around before. Gives out his hand to you and says, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name's Louis-Antoine de Saint-Just.
I don't know what the etiquette thing of whether he kisses her hand or they just shake hands or whatever the hell.
He's offering his hand for you to shake, very specifically.
Be just a shake. And, like, we are equals, both in divine. She gives like a little blush. She has a rouge on and everything. And she just says, "Oh my, well, I am so glad to have caught your attention. I have heard your name whispered about.
Only good things, I hope."
Of course, of course. A great push towards faith, towards this new church of the Supreme Being.
Very, very important that we do so. Robespierre's incorruptible vision for our virtuous future is to be upheld at all costs. And it's good that we're taking strides towards that. I will do all I can to help it along. I'm glad you share the same vision.
To have their support on the ground and the drive behind it. It is a good team.
Indeed. Well, I'm hoping that before long, the entire city, the entire country will soon be one team. One team of enlightened, virtuous individuals working together to keep it that way.
She paraphrases one of the lines of basically being like, we all hold justice and liberty inside our hearts. We are the countrymen of Paris, of France. We will all come together in time when everybody understands the divinity they hold.
He looks positively delighted at everything you're saying. A sort of childlike, boyish gleam in his eyes.
If he seems impressed, she is like soaking it up. She's like, I am divine. My word is shaping your... Like, she is on a complete ego high.
Yeah, he seems to be feeding from you expounding upon your belief. As like the further on you go, the more sort of enraptured in what you're saying he becomes, increasingly so. With that, we'll turn momentarily then towards Remy. As Robespierre continues his speech, you hear a sort of creaking noise, I suppose, coming from within the crowd. Everyone is silent, sort of bar Robespierre speaking at this particular time. And in front of you, the crowd almost seems to part, like the Red Sea. And a middle-aged looking man, in a wheelchair, actually, a sort of wooden crafted wheelchair, sort of rolls his way, through the crowd, nodding toward the people as he makes his way back towards you. He notices you, recognizes you, actually, and bows his head. Despite the night, he wears sort of dark glasses over his eyes and says, "Remy, my boy, it's lovely to see you here. I never quite see you out of your little place. It's good to
Do I
see you out."
recognize this person?
Yes, this is Georges Couton, who is a you recognize him as a, he's a Ventrue. He is a member of the Sabbat. He is part of Robespierre's pack as well. And that he likes to frequent your establishment oftentimes, and sometimes likes to give them either favorable or less favorable critiques depending on his the mood of the day, I suppose.
It is an excellent privilege as always to see you, and I might add, if my business has kept me in one spectacle, I am relieved to find my pleasure finds me in another.
A spectacle, then, you take of this? I can't disagree.
You know that is a compliment coming from me.
I do, indeed. The highest of praises, what can I say? At least for you, in any case. The bigger the better, am I right?
Indeed. Grand.
Quite an audience as well.
Oh. Yes, indeed.
What think you of all of this, then?
No kings. No priests. I suppose we are elevated from the serpent to the flaming sword.
Just as is written, I suppose.
For written is foretold. I suppose it's time to hear.
It is true. Then all of the framing groundworks will be in place, I suppose. I should mention to you then, seeing as though we're laying groundworks, that I have a new law that I've written up. It will be ready in perhaps 1 or 2 days. The final piece of the puzzle, I hope.
Well, I am not accustomed to signing off on legislation, but you are welcome to run it by me.
I shan't. I just think you may see some changes in things that are to come when it is put through. I appreciate the offer, nonetheless.
Well, I shall appreciate the show when it begins in a few days' time.
I thought you might, yes. Good evening to you.
And a good evening with you.
He begins to wheel himself off, but stops short as both of you sort of tune in slightly to hear a couple of people wearing bourgeois sort of garb, again, just simple black with white underclothes, whispering amongst each other, not very subtly, perhaps not very cleverly, about what is he talking about? Do you think he's a little bit, sounds like he's gone off the deep end. I used to believe in what he said, but I feel as though he's gone a little far this time. No God? That, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I used to believe in him too, but this is a little much. And they sort of continue in this way.
Do I recognize them?
No, I don't think you would. They are just sort of everyday, middle-class people, probably, and on the management board for some factory or other, or something like of this nature, I would say.
But I've seen Couton notice them as well.
Yes, you have.
Okay, interesting. I'll, if I can catch his eye.
Yeah,
if I'm
for sure.
still close enough to sort of mutter, I'll say, well, not all congregations are prepared.
Perhaps not. I guess one does have to deal with criticism from time to time until one does not need to deal with criticism anymore.
Well, I'm sure it will be dealt with in some way.
You do not need to worry about that. We'll end the scene.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
With Lucretia, Saint-Just is still listening aptly to everything you're saying. But at a certain point, he sort of stops short and puts up his hand and says, I am so sorry to cut you short. I very much wish to continue our conversation soon. I very much enjoy your ideas, and I think they are of extraordinary help to everything we are going to achieve here in the coming weeks. I do have a matter to take care of at the minute, though. I'm so sorry.
You are the support beam for that which we shall all clamber around.
I'm sure we'll catch up with each other again soon.
Yes, take care.
Excuse me. And as Saint-Just heads off into the crowd, follow him with your eyes for a little and see him walk off just probably about 50 or 100 meters off in the distance. And
I think she, it's not a very obvious follow, but there's definitely she's gravitating towards him, but she's like, what's he doing?
You spot
heightened senses and all that, so that
Yeah.
she's not too close or anything.
Absolutely. You sort of trail behind him a little bit. He walks a
She's
little bit
real
off.
good at moving in crowds, so she'll
Yeah.
come up to somebody and just be like, yes, the divine being, we're all built, but she's just spouting whatever he's saying, but listening.
Yeah, for sure. You spot Remy in the crowd, actually, not too far away from where Saint-Just ends up. He stops sort of a little sort of away from where Remy stands with this man who sits on a wheelchair and puts his hands around these two people who are kind of close by them and such. And you see, Remy, you see this too. Mael, perhaps you do as well, as you make your way towards the back of the crowd, to where Francine is sort of standing around the corner. And without any semblance of effort at all, Saint-Just's index fingers, where he holds the two shoulders, pierce into the necks of these two people. So much so that his entire hand sort of disappears inside the flesh. He rips them out, and these two people fall to the ground, dead. There is a sort of scream around as people notice what has happened, and the crowd disperses and such a little bit.
Lucretia deliberately is the first to scream because she's paying attention. She looks over and she goes, stops her conversation and goes,
Yeah, absolutely. And people rush forward and such. And Saint-Just and Couton share a look. They both look towards you, Remy, and simply stand there, do nothing, and let chaos kind of reign around them as Robespierre keeps speaking and people shift and move, and some people are still enraptured by the words that he speaks. Mael, you head towards Francine, who is watching the spectacle from afar. You catch up to her, shaking her head in disgust. Mael, it's good to see you.
Nah, I would prefer different circumstances.
Me too.
He's gonna ruin it all.
If he doesn't ruin himself first.
Well, sure, he'll somehow miraculously survive, or if he perishes in all of this, I'm slightly certain he might not even care that much if he achieves whatever this is. And she motions towards the people who just got ripped apart.
Yeah. Just to in the middle of the square, crowds of people. I don't know what this place is coming. We had such a good vision when we did all of this years ago, and now it's just turned into whatever this is. It's heartbreaking. I don't know what to do.
The people want freedom, yet I don't think this is what freedom looks like.
I never envisioned it like this.
We're not godly beings. Neither us nor mortals. Yet, somehow they all take it up. We were doing well.
We were.
He needs to be stopped. Because if he is not stopped, then probably Paris will go up either in flames or as one massive cult that somehow reverses Robespierre. And that is not freedom, because then people just switch up their chains for other ones. They don't revere God anymore, but they revere Robespierre. Seems like the same thing to me, just a different setting.
I couldn't have said it better myself. We'll find a way. One day, hopefully, before any of this gets any worse. For now, I think we survive and we keep speaking the truth that we tried to originally. Hopefully there'll be people who listen, and hopefully we won't get killed along the way, but I won't submit to whatever it is this is trying to do, because it's disgusting.
We've already lost so many. It makes me doubt if we can even do this by ourselves.
Yeah, me too. Maybe there's a way, I don't know.
If we have one thing going for us, it's that we're not going to give up easily.
That's true, we are still here, despite everything. You are right.
My head is still on my neck and yours is still on yours. That's something if I ever say something.
As long as it's that way, there is still at least a glimmer of hope. You are very good at making me feel less pessimistic about everything. That's for sure. So
Maybe
thank
that's
you.
because I've seen worse.
Yeah, well, if there's worse than this, then there is reason to be hopeful. And with that, we will pan out from this particular instance, this flurry, this climactic moment of revolution where the entire cultural standpoint of Paris is turned on its head. And before we head about a month into the future, we'll take a quick break. Thanks everybody for sticking around so far, and we'll be back soon. So, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting around. And let's just get right back into the action. So now, the date is... Let me get my notes. The date is the 22nd of July, 1794. So we have skipped ahead about a month from the scene where everybody converged at the Festival of the Supreme Being. We open first this particular night on Mael. Mael, where is it that you make your abode usually these nights after joining with Francine and with the women and with the anarchs of this city? Do you live with them? Do you live alone? Where do you make your stay?
Mael would have occupied some kind of basement near Francine
Mm-hmm.
and the women, but not together. She would still, even though it's maybe small and kind of dank, but she
Mm-hmm.
would have some kind of basement that's close. Um, but yeah, nothing spectacular or anything. It's just to basically be dead during the day.
Mm, certainly. What is her evening routine? When she wakes from day sleep, I will actually get you to make a rouse check as you wake upon this night. What does she do to prepare herself for a usual night ahead?
Hmm. I failed that rouse check.
You
So
get a
I
little
am
hungry.
at. Yes. But I think even though she wakes up a bit hungrier,
Mm,
she won't necessarily go out to quell the beast immediately. Although she knows that probably at some point in the evening she might have to.
mm,
Um, I think she looks for some clean clothes that are still scattered somewhere around the basement. It's not that difficult because, well, she doesn't dress really fancy, so it's just a shirt and some pants.
mm,
Um, and as she kind of gets ready, also before she heads out of the door, she kind of makes this almost dancing, almost like jittery motion where she shakes, like it's as if she shakes something off. So
mm.
she bounces on the 2 feet for a second. She like shakes it off, and then she opens the uh, stairs towards ground level again
Yeah.
to go out. And most likely, if nothing was planned for the day, she will make her way towards Francine, or to listen what the day brought, to see what changed yet again. Because, well, now at nights,
Mm.
everything can change upon one night after the other. So
Yes. Especially in these nights, it's worse than it's ever been before. As you open up the door to your basement and head upstairs, a woman who you've probably seen before, she sells bread at the marketplace just down the road from where you and the Anarchs make your stay. And she stops sort of rigidly as she comes to you and says, Mael, is that you?
hi, do I know you?
Yes, my name is Maria, and it is in your best interests to meet this night at the club of the old Cordeliers.
Right, and how is that in my best interest? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's just trust is scarce these nights, you know?
It is in your best interests to meet this night at the club of the old Cordeliers.
Right. He already said that once before. Gotcha. Have a nice night, Maria.
You too. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah,
Give
stay
Francine
safe.
my best.
Don't. I will do that. Try to stay away from strangers.
Yeah, I try to stay indoors as much as you know how it is these nights. It's not a good time to be out and about.
You never
So
know
many
what's
people
roaming
dobbing.
around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You stay safe too. I wouldn't like anything happening to you.
Oh, I assure you, there would have to be a massive attack for someone to happen to me. You're not gonna get rid of me that easily, but I'll see you around.
That makes me feel better. I'll see you around.
Hmm. I think Maya will leave with like a worrying passing glance because that didn't feel natural.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, keeping that in mind, uh, I guess she will just head there
Mm.
instead of going to Francine first.
Yeah, certainly. It's not too far away, very much in the center of Paris, just south of the Seine. So all you really need to do is cross one of the plethora of bridges that cross over the river in Paris to make your way over there. Not a very long walk.
I will, as I make my way over there, I will, however, try to get on top of one of the buildings in some kind of alleyway and go further on top of the rooftops invisibly.
Invisibly, great. Cool. If you'd like, even the building where you live, there is a staircase that leads all the way up to the roof itself, so you can get up there quite easily. And I'm assuming you want to activate Unseen Passage?
Yes, I would very much like to.
Lovely. I'll get another rouse from you then.
Yes. The beast stays quiet for now.
Good. It woke up with a jolt of excitement, but now that you have some purpose to your night, perhaps it has settled back down within you, at least for the time being. And you make your way invisibly across the rooftops. I will get a dexterity athletics roll from you to see how swiftly you're able to do so.
If I do not fall to my demise.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be so uncomfortable. I'm on my way, slip, bang.
You have Cat's Grace, do you not?
Yeah, I do. And I'm not gonna fall, guys. I have 3 successes.
Amazing.
I'm not gonna fall.
Yeah. With Cat's Grace, which is passive, so it's always there, and 3 successes, you make your way silently and invisibly across the rooftops of Paris. As I mentioned previously to you guys as well, in this day and age, the bridges actually had buildings on them as well, in a way that they don't really anymore. So you can sort of continue jumping from rooftop to rooftop across the bridge, heading down south to where the Cordelia's Club is. And as you do so, we turn to Lucretia. Where does she make her abode? What is her morning routine? How does she look? What is she doing?
So she owns the Palais Royal.
Very big thing, yeah.
Yes. So she has one of the like large rooms that are in there. Every single morning, she has a particular routine with her husband Dominique. They go to the 4-poster bed. She very particularly lays her head on his chest, and they have that very particular position during their day sleep of being cradled together. Owning the Palais Royal during this time as well. Many of the kine and ghouls and stuff downstairs begin to party before the sun truly begins to set. So as they set and rise, Dominique does not need to do as much prep as her. And he goes down to suss out the party, figure out where the debauchery is, figure out who's high on what, so that he can come back and inform her on what her delicacy choices are before to begin her evening. She uses her celerity to get her biggest, nicest powdered wig on. She does, she powders her face. She dresses in the old regal ways in a large dress. She does this very quickly because she knows that a lot of the time she has to be like called away to deal with security breaches, people trying to get in.
Constant thing here.
Yes. But she goes down and she partakes in debauchery and drugs. She drinks with people who are high. She just is around all of the things going on inside this lovely building. She partakes as much as she possibly can without doing anything that's going to take up her whole night.
Lovely.
And that's basically how she starts her each evening.
She gets dressed and gets high.
Yeah, she gets dressed, has sex, gets high as fuck, and just chills with her husband.
Absolutely love it. So the first duty that you're called to for this evening is simply to observe a change of doorman. A sort of, you have a rotating sort of guard of these people who are employed by you and a bunch of the other Camarilla kindred who make up this sort of establishment and keep it running and such. Dominique is the keeper of the Elysium in an official respect, so he goes over the change with you. But you are expected to greet the new one and such, and make sure they are up to speed.
Yes, and catch any cracks in security, any kind of
that's right.
like that. She's always on Dominique's arm, just playing the coy, mindless woman.
Yeah.
But she is the eyes.
Is Dominique with you when you go to greet the new doorman?
Yes, he is the face of checking security.
Absolutely.
She is that actual one checking security.
Yeah, for sure. So you make your way up to the front. The new person is a sort of a man, dark hair, slicked back, wearing sort of the mercenarian guard robes, not the ones of the National Guard. Sort of more dressed down, black and white, almost butler-esque garb that they've got going on. But
little bourgeois in there.
Absolutely. He carries a bayonet rifle though with him. And sort of presents this imposing figure. He's rather large as well. He snaps to attention before both of you, tips his head towards you, bows towards Dominique, and says, hello, it's lovely to see you. I'll be the new guard for this evening. Lucretia de Visage, is it?
Good evening. Thank you very much for all your help.
It is in your best interests, madame, to meet this night at the club of the old Cordeliers.
Oh my. Do you hear that, Dominique? It seems I have business as summons to the club.
I do. Important things, it sounds like.
I had best get changed then, my dear. Thank you very much for telling me, sir. Please enjoy your stay. She gives Dominique a look that is like, double check him, and then she will leave.
Yeah.
She goes up to her room. She sits in front of her lovely toilet. She takes like the wig off, and the removal of that makeup, because she likes to just stay in the Palais Royal and just live in what she should be, which is a noble in that fashion. And it's just like, it's not a glamorous wiping off. She just rubs it off, and like bits of her like translucent, angelic kind of like visage comes out underneath, but there's just this removal of the mask underneath, and she just like holds her face in her hands for a moment before she like pulls herself together, and she just puts like a very thin layer of like powder on. She puts like a single little mark on. She gets her hair, which is already long without a wig, like it's so luscious and almost translucent as well. She powders it so that it's a single color. She ties it into a ponytail, puts on just like a form-fitting silk dress that is not puffy, though she does try to fit as much padding around her hips in her own little form of like revolution.
Yeah.
But she puts it on and she looks in the mirror. She's still beautiful. She's still this stunning entity, but she is not what she wants to be. She grabs two of her fans. She double checks the blades on them. She puts them into her big detachable pockets that she fucking doesn't want to be wearing.
Yeah.
And then she will make her way to the club.
Certainly. As you're leaving, Dominique will come back to you and say, absolutely nothing wrong with him at all. As soon as I started to speak with him, perfectly normal, no suspicions to speak of.
A simple Dominique, it seems, a message to be carried. Thank you, my love. She'll give him like a far too deep kiss on the mouth, and then we'll go.
Yeah. Lovely. As you two are making your way down south towards the Cordeliers Club, we turn to Remy, last of all. What is his evening routine? Where does he find himself when he awakens? Who is he surrounded with? What is he surrounded with upon his awakening?
When Remy awakens, he is alone. The room around him resembles a largish well, stone walls, circular construction, and directly above him there is a kind of a ceiling that is made of different materials than the walls around it. Seems to have been installed later. There is a simple bed and a door exiting that area. And when he dresses or makes himself presentable as such and leaves that space, he ascends a long flight of curving stairs up into a very noisy space, a kind of hidden passage door into the storage room of a theater, Le Bon Diable, where he is the kind of master of ceremonies, the face of the operation, and he'll walk out, sort of moving through the kind of storage and kitchens area and sort of nodding to people that are there working. He'll even sort of like lean over as though he's sniffing some of the stuff that's getting prepared.
Great.
And then walk out into the sort of more bar area proper. And the club or the theater space itself is this gaudy, extremely ornate kind of place, like elaborate plaster cast sort of imitations. Like imagine if imagine like a trashy, glitzy, fake Versailles, but in this place. And then there's like chips and stuff in the wall where things have sort of taken paint off of them. There are like chandeliers with flickering candles hanging down everywhere, and it's red and gold and sweaty and drunk. That is the vibe. And there's a sort of stage up on the top where there's a band, some strings and horns and stuff like that playing as people dance if they want to.
The carpet smells like ale, and
Oh yeah. Such carpet as there is.
Yes.
For sure.
I will get you to make a rouse check, and Lucretia as well, because I forgot.
Oh, yes.
That is a fail.
It's a fail for all of us.
He's a hungry boy.
You feel the beast
Beast's
rattle in its cage of the sign of the times, perhaps. Everything coming to a crux in many different ways for all of you. Remy, as you make your way up into the storage room and into the bar, you see Eleanor, one of your pack mates. She has a young man on her arm and passes by you as she comes through into, she looks like she's going around to probably like the backstage area or something, and she just says, "Remy, how lovely to see you."
Ah, my dear. It is a brighter night as long as your face is here. Hello, hello.
Indeed, and as it is yours as well. This is William. He is the new face of the play that we'll be staging tonight.
Ah, I should have surmised. I was wondering.
Yes.
I look forward to watching you work. William, you said.
Yes, that indeed it is. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Likewise, I am certain the pleasure shall be delivered in kind once I witness your work.
I'm certain it will. Thank you very much for having me on for this particular project. It's been my life's work for the past week. Thanks to Eleanor here, she's helped me out quite a bit.
Well, Eleanor's eye is one I trust inveterately, and I am certain you were well selected.
Eleanor winks at you and simply says, "I will leave you to your night. I'm sure it will be a spectacular one."
Always.
She smiles and walks off with William. And almost immediately after, one of the theatre staff approaches you and says, "Remy, how lovely to see you. Hope you're doing well tonight."
Go on then.
Yes, sorry. The milkman is here. Says he has some cream for the parfaits or something of that kind. After show snacks, I believe.
Very well.
He is waiting for the manager to receive him. He says he won't speak to any of us. Kind of a standoffish man. I think we may have changed companies or providers and need you to sign. I don't know. Logistics.
Logistics. Well, it certainly must be the creme de la creme, as you say.
One would hope.
Well, I will see to it. Thank you for letting me know. Perhaps there is something interesting to be learned here. A moment.
I hope it's... yeah. And he goes
What
off.
is it that I behold?
If you make your way to the front, it's just a sort of...
See a Schlachter.
Maybe what... Give it...
Remy will take his time a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's a bit miffed by whatever this is. And so he's like doing the thing of like making eye contact with like the regulars and stuff like that, and declining offers of a drink, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Shaking hands, etc. And then we'll dally a bit.
Yeah.
And then go to the door.
Great. A short, grouchy looking man sort of stands with his arms crossed, looking up at the ornateness of the door to the theatre, and sort of gives you a once over when you appear at the front. He says, are you the proprietor of this fine establishment, my good friend?
Remy is just going to look down at his apparel and then back up at this person, returning the once over, and say, what do your eyes tell you?
Your decor, this decor, seems to be pretty much in sync with each other, so...
How delightfully diplomatic. Where is your cream?
It's here. I just need you to sign, if that's okay. My manager will be extremely angry with me if I don't get all of the ticks and whatchamacallits.
Does he seem full of shit?
With insight.
Okay.
You know what you should do to your manager? Take him to the guillotine.
I don't know. Let's look at Beck's face. Does he seem full of shit? Looking like...
Okay, that is only 2 successes.
Only 2 successes. Not really. He seems like he's just put out by even having to be here. But he doesn't seem like he's lying.
Okay, all right. Well, if this seems like a thing that that Remy normally does, sign for things.
Maybe once in a blue moon. It's not common.
Okay.
Normally your porters get it for you, but...
Sure, seems a bit sus. He'll look down and he'll take up as much space on the paper as he can with his signature, like double its usual size, and take his time with it as well. Now, I haven't seen you around here. You represent a new distributor, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. What's your name?
My name? Edward.
Edward.
Yes, Dimash.
Wow. A regal name in England.
I see. I can assure you it's not that. At least, maybe it was once long ago, but definitely not now.
Several fates you would not like to meet yourself, I can assure you.
These
Live
days...
apart from your legacy.
Yeah. I was thinking of changing my name, actually. Sort of has that ring to it.
Well, much power in a name. Now, you have my signature. Is there any other business you require of the proprietor?
I did have a letter for you,
Double
actually.
duty for you this evening.
Yeah. My boss just gave it to me, said to give it to you, something, I don't know. Told me not to read it, so I didn't.
Well,
Don't want to piss him off, you know how it is.
Not just an excellent creamer, but a postman to boot. Thank you.
A man of many talents.
Will that be all?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for signing the thing. I appreciate
Of course. Well, you know, it's not the first time I've been asked for an autograph. Farewell.
it. I see. Ugh.
Close the door.
Yeah.
And then look at this letter.
It simply says, it is in your best interests to meet this night at the club of the old Cordeliers.
Well, not the show I intended. Okay. All right. Well, I think what Remy would do is, so you say it's not a far journey to this place?
No, it's in the middle of the city. So if your theater is closely sort of situated within the city itself, it's not that far.
Okay. So it's walking distance.
It would be.
All right. In that case, I think Remy might change his clothes. He is in bombastic theater owner sort of garb to be seen, and he'll shift a bit into a sort of shabbier old gray. Still a suit jacket and pants and stuff, but not to stand out so much on the street. He keeps his cane, and will let the managers and stuff know at the club that he's stepping out for a meeting, but that he see them later. Make sure everything's in order, and then he'll go for a stroll.
Certainly. So you all make your way down to the old Cordelia's Club, which famously is sort of a kind of a landmark in revolutionary France in many ways. A convent which they, upon the slaughtering of many of the old Catholic figures, of which we've seen much, was turned into a place where some of the most radical revolutionaries in Paris would gather and discuss ideas and such. Danton and Demelon were the two significant people who worked and operated out of here. But since their execution, it's sort of become a place where people don't really go, especially if they're going to gather and talk in groups and such. Mostly because it represents their ideas, ones that were deemed anti-revolutionary eventually by Robespierre, and thus sort of have a bad stigma about them. You all sort of trickle in one by one. I'll say Maël, you'll arrive first. Remy would become next in that case. Yes. And
Maël is planning to stay on top of the rooftops for a while until she actually sees people arrive. And even when that happens, she wants to enter in invisibly.
Okay, sounds good. That can absolutely happen. You would see Remy arrive next, I would say, dressed in something a little different to his usual theatre garb, I would say. And how does Remy arrive? What does he do?
So I would wonder what the sort of lay of the land is here. Does it look like? I mean, would I know if this place is usually abandoned or is it normally occupied? Like, what's its deal?
Now, probably for the past month.
These days, yeah.
People don't come here. It's sort of a place where people don't go.
Okay.
People don't want to be seen around here. It is basically a courtyard that has a monastery on one end and a convent on the other end, and the Cordeliers used to go to the convent, the nunnery, to talk about their stuff. Then the courtyard is sort of run down at this point. There's a bunch of sort of old wagon parts and all of that type of thing that have been stored / trashed here at this point as well. It's almost sort of become a tip of sorts for old discarded things in a way. But the buildings themselves sort of reek of a kind of Avignon papacy era kind of opulence when the French empire in the Middle Ages was rich and thriving and all that sort of thing. So the buildings themselves are beautiful. It has been discarded, this area, however, by political circumstances.
Okay, Remy is going to adopt an attitude that is not a lie. He genuinely feels this way, but his not his purpose. So he's just going to kind of like stroll past this place a couple of times, maybe even make the block or something like that, and look like he is just admiring the old place and looking around, kind of almost with an artist's eye or something like that. But he's going to be scoping the place out. So activating Sense the Unseen and then seeing if there looks to be like a street team or watchers or things like that.
Interesting. Okay. You don't see anything. I won't make you roll for it because there is nobody here at this point. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. Actually, Maëlle is here. With Sense the Unseen, I'll get you to roll Wits or Specs versus her Wits Obfuscate.
Okay.
I forgot Sense the Unseen can do that.
Don't worry, I have quite a dice pool.
Yeah, I don't expect to be successful here, but we can give it a go. Ooh, nope, that's Yeah.
Oh no.
I have 7 successes.
Yeah, my 2 are not gonna pick that up. You're a whisper in the wind.
Healthy.
Is that a crit?
It is.
Ooh. Is it messy or is it normal?
It is, luckily for me, normal.
Okay.
Ooh.
Things aren't getting too spicy yet. You
Begin scene unable to communicate.
You stroll around. The buildings are extraordinarily well built. You can see them probably surviving for centuries more to come with the craftsmanship. In terms of people around, you don't seem to spot any, at least around the sort of vicinity itself. As I said, people sort of steer clear of this area, and it seems as though that is the case tonight too. Yeah, okay. And it is at this point. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if it seems fine, he'll stroll into the courtyard itself and see what the situation near the door is.
Yeah, certainly. And as you do so, Lucretia, you pull up to the little district as well. What would you like to do?
I think because she's going out and about, she probably does have. Actually, what time of year is it? It's July.
It's July, so it's the middle of summer.
Middle of summer. Okay, cool. I feel like instead of silk dress, then she's got that like sheer, what is it, muslin?
Muslin, yeah.
Kind of dress going on. She gets out, and I think she doesn't like the fact that this place has been abandoned, so she's like, okay. But she also is like interested to, because I don't think she's ever been inside the nunnery, so she wants to see where it all happened, all of the discussions. She wants to feel it, so she goes straight to the nunnery. She probably sees Remy.
Yeah, you'll see Remy walking
this white, gorgeous dress that fits her. It comes out a bit at the hips. She has like you know that her hair is like quite a light blonde, but it's almost like yellowish brown that she's got tied into like this really luscious ponytail at her back. She just gives you like a wave just like at the other thing and goes up to the nunnery doors to try and open them.
You'll meet each other there. Maëlle, you see this happening. You see both of them arrive together. I'll ask what you do first.
I think as she did in the past, Maëlle's going to, when she sees the two of them together entering, almost like a blast from the past, she'll remain invisible and she'll sneak in with them as she did so many times.
Great. You make your way stealthily up behind them. I'll get a dexterity stealth roll from you.
Get me the messy crid.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever it takes.
And because heightened senses is, oh no, you have to activate heightened senses. Yeah, and she's not ultra vigilant right now.
No.
Monsieur Remy, what brings you out here tonight? Are we here to form our own club?
I don't believe any club that would grant you the membership would do the same courtesy to me, my lady.
If it is a club of my own creation, I would, of course, invite you in.
I am presumptuous, for certainly you are in so elevated a position that every club you belong to must be of your own creation, either now or
Eh,
soon.
no, I am not elevated. We are all citizens of Paris.
Hmm.
She just gestures to herself, and there is the clearest, because they know each other so well, disdainful look on her face. She's like, we are all citizens of Paris.
Ah, how revolutionary of you.
Yes, indeed.
I am surprised to see you here, although I suppose the manner of my summons should have prepared me for surprises.
Oh, a dominated message as well.
Hmm. Of sorts. Certainly a confused one.
Ah, indeed, yes. She will just push on the door to see if it opens.
It does. Yes. How many successes on the dexterity stealth?
I got 3 successes.
Enough, I would say. Threshold of 3, so you're just fine. You drop down and sort of edge around behind them as the two of them enter through the door into the nunnery itself, which has sort of been cleared out and made into this open space. You're able to slip out in behind them as well. What you see when you enter is what used to be a kind of prayer sort of room, I suppose, with a lectern out the front that's sort of been moved. You can see the scrapes along the ground to the center of the room, and there is sort of a almost grandstand-esque kind of situation of desks that forms a semicircle around the lectern in the center. You can see sort of almost scratch marks on the lectern where you can imagine the ghost of Danton or Demelon sort of sitting there, gripping it tightly as they continue on some kind of speech about liberty or about the terror and the pitfalls of it or the virtues of it early on and such. And there's a sort of a lot of banging marks and damage done to the desks around the edges themselves, as though you can sort of almost hear and feel the echoing remains of passionate things that would have happened in this room, but have sort of died away into nothingness, into disrepair, and into a kind of forlorn taboo that nobody talks about anymore. This is what you see. Sitting
Probably the immediate. Oh, someone's here. Oh shit.
sitting on the far side, just at one of the desks themselves, sort of as you move around the lectern, you see them fully, is a sort of plump woman with blonde hair, looks to be sort of in her mid-30s, very plain looking sort of lady, sits there with her hands clasped in front of her, and sees you all as you come in. Doesn't say anything, doesn't move.
Lucretia being Lucretia, she walks in, her heels clicking because underneath this dress is shoes far too expensive for anyone. But she walks in, she doesn't go around the lectern, she goes up to it. And she gingerly places her hands where she can see those like finger marks, and she just looks down at this woman. Does she recognize her at all?
No, this person you do not know. You've never seen them before.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, it's good to see you. Lucretia de Visage, I presume.
Mm-hmm. And you might be.
Oh, I am no one of importance. I am just conducting a meeting here with you tonight. I'm not to
A
give my
citizen
name.
of Paris, as we all are, but we all
Citoyen.
have names.
I'm afraid not.
But are you not divine in and of yourself? Should you not stand with a name?
No, I am just a person.
She grips the lectern and stays quiet.
And you, Remy Saint-Jean,
Me.
I presume.
You presume correctly.
Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, I hope.
Thank you for coming. I know this location is a little unorthodox, especially for these particular times. I trust you found your way here well enough.
Oh, yes, you see, orthodoxy and unorthodoxy, both familiar ground for me to tread.
Fair enough. And the definition of
Quietest
which
giggle. Just
the definition of which changes especially frequently these days, I suppose.
Oh, yes. I was describing, after all, a straight line.
A straight line with no frayed edges to speak of.
Oh, I think you'll find that I am positively full of frayed edges, and he'll like put up his vest a little bit, which definitely does have them.
And it seems we are only waiting on one other now.
Oh, and who might that be? Do they also have a name?
Yes, Citoyen Maël Cadieux.
Adieu.
Yes. Have you not heard of them?
No.
I cannot say so.
Well,
She lied.
we will wait for them to arrive and then conduct the business about which we are here. Hopefully it will not be too long. Please make yourselves comfortable in the meantime.
Just for the record, Mael is kind of walking around the table, observing it all in a somewhat predatory sense, and she will definitely not make herself known at this moment. She wants to see them squirm maybe a little bit more, see what happens.
Yeah.
I think Lucretia soaks in those ghosts of what was here. Like, she sees every little break in wood. She feels the grooves of fingers where her own are. And she's just like, she's imagining what it was like to be here, but now it's not here. And like a belief that was fought for that was now stopped. And she just, she bathes in it.
And Remy.
An interesting name. Yes.
No, I was going to ask, what do you do in this moment while you're waiting? Do you say anything? Do you do anything? Do you observe anything?
I'll have a look around the place as well, but then I'll look at our new friend, and then say, I wonder, you are just a person, as you say.
Just a person.
You are just a person of more than, as someone might have once said, more than mortal knowledge. I wonder what such knowledge has combined these three names into your book of addresses.
An interested third party.
Oh.
Well, that is two names which are not, and one which is yet to be. An auspicious rule of three.
Indeed. By third, I mean there is me, there is you three, and then there is a third.
Someone known to me?
Or me,
I would not
perhaps.
know.
I was hoping for a riddle.
In
I
my
am
best
unfortunately-
interest is what I was told.
Ah, yes, that was the wording for me as well.
Ah. Well,
My-
I assume it is. My benefactor is somebody of significant ability, strength, power. So, in your best interest is probably fairly accurate.
And quite a few of them of recent.
Indeed. They just tend to pop up out of the woodwork quite often, don't you think?
And pop down as well.
Indeed. One's fame is always very ephemeral, especially at this particular point in time. One would be weary of poking their head out too far.
She just giggles.
Yes, long necks no longer being of the fashion.
Of course not.
Can I tell if this person is a kindred?
Ooh.
Is that too subtle to tell?
It's really difficult. The only sort of things you can sort of look for is if they have a pulse, sort of their general countenance, if they're very still, if they're breathing, anything like that. I'll get you to make either an intelligence investigation or medicine, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, let's just see.
She starts to look around, tapping her fingers impatiently.
Okay.
I
it's not
do
gonna be
wish
good.
that she would
Find out.
arrive, however. There is much to
That's
discuss.
2 successes.
2 successes? Difficult to tell.
Yeah. alright.
They seem very lively. They're gesturing a lot, they're not like flushed out, exceedingly pale or anything.
Yeah.
That's sort of what you notice on face value. But that could mean that they're a human, could mean that they're using Blush of Life or something like that as well. Or they could just be high humanity. So it's difficult to say with any amount of certainty.
Sure. Sure. Okay.
Monsieur Remy. Oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say that at that moment, if there's a bit of silence, she will speak up. It would be intriguing if something still can be in the best interest for the 3 of us these nights, could it not?
Oh, you're here. How wonderful. Maëlle Cadieux.
Mademoiselle Sophie! Where are you?
I think she'll turn to the blonde lady because she said, you're here, Maëlle.
Yeah.
And she'll say, yes, I have been for quite some time. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No matter. Thank you for coming.
Remy, Lucretia.
Maëlle.
Mademoiselle Sophie.
An auspicious and interesting name.
Times changed. I changed. I didn't want to go by past names anymore. And then she'll look to Lucretia and say, so I would appreciate if you also did not.
Times change indeed, my dear. So lovely to see you again. How have you been?
I've been well, better than I have possibly ever been.
Oh, fantastic.
What's this business?
Yes.
Turn to the blonde lady.
We're all here now.
Some things have changed, some things not so much.
No, that's right.
It's quite coincidental.
A coincidence? Perhaps not. My benefactor knows that the 3 of you used to work closely together in the past. It's sort of, at least was the talk of the town when you did. Something about an Elysium where dancing was had between the 2 of you. Anyhow.
So many lovely Elysiums. We always catch the eye of all those that we were around.
Yes. Well, as I was saying, and I don't know if you heard this, Mademoiselle Cadieux, but this interested third party, my benefactor, indeed, is interested in gathering together an alliance of all 3 sects in this city to bring an end to the current state of things.
A revolution.
Indeed.
Within the revolution.
And who would this third party be that suddenly wants to upheaval things?
An exceedingly influential figure. Remaining anonymous for now,
Aren't we
therefore.
all in these days?
Yes, we all are.
Which is why you were asked to come here and hear this plan. You all are influential. You all are capable, but not to the extent where you're instantly recognizable.
Please.
So good.
Just nothing from her
Yeah.
at your gasp.
Lucretia, in audiences where it matters. Yes?
Right. Okay, fine. You are right, Remy. Well, I am already quite sick of waiting. Where is this person? Are they also in here, but we are unaware?
No, they are not. I am simply a thrall to their regent, if you understand my meaning.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes. I will report back to them with the outcome of your decision. But in essence, they desire to knock the king off the board, so to speak.
In my
Which king?
experience, that always means replace the king on the board.
Yes.
You've already brought up a regent, after all.
Indeed. Well, their precise designs I know not. I only know this much. I know that they want Robespierre gone, and I know that they think you three are the best three to try and align as many of the three sects as possible to get this done. I only know that much.
So we need to show our faces and put them in danger while he gets to stay out of it.
Become the new leader of the Church of the Divine Being.
The new leader? You think the Church of the Supreme Being is a good thing?
Oh no, I just think that you are trying to remove the leader of that church.
Yes,
Replace
absolutely.
them
Replace them.
with your regent, as Remy said.
As
I
I
do
said,
believe this game of chess has multiple dimensions, Lucretia.
Indeed. I'm trying to find out what those dimensions are.
as I said, I don't know their particular designs. All I know is that they want this done. It could be possible that they desire to become the new king. I am none the wiser.
Unfortunate.
Then why should we talk to a fool like you and not talk to him if he wants something from us?
We are so influential, as you say.
They are, unfortunately, even more so. Very, very dangerous for them to even come outside. Just not let alone
Like
out
Marat.
here. Very much like Marat.
Oh. Shall have to keep the Cordays away.
Yes. One down, one to go, so to speak.
An apple a day, so I hear.
Mm.
Now, you must understand, what you propose is dangerous for both of my old friends, but might incur an even more significant risk to myself, for obvious reasons.
Indeed. I understand.
Now, what on earth might I stand to gain for taking such terrible risk?
Best interests, after all.
I will ask you this. Do you think the arts will remain free forever under Robespierre's rule?
I see. 'Tis not the first time that a theatre has survived censorship.
I know. But will you survive censorship?
Have you been to my theatre?
Unfortunately, I haven't got the chance.
Oh,
You
you
really
should. It is
should.
so lovely. An excellent
shouldn't.
experience. Madame, Mademoiselle.
I
Yeah.
mean, tastes differ, right? If she wants to, she probably would have already.
Well put. Well put. What are your tastes? Looking at our new friend now.
I have a desire to survive. The way I see things now, probably won't be for much longer. Survival is tasteful, so is safety, so is making practical decisions. Pragmatism, perhaps, more generally.
Very well. Then you must presume that what follows is a matter of pragmatism. And then I'm going to use Elysian Eye,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to attempt to find out who this person is, who they are, that has given them directives.
Wits or specs, and a rouse check.
Out above.
That's 5 successes for Remy.
I got 8.
Whoa!
Okay.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Resisted.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be holding Elysian in your own mind, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like looking into a pool of water that is so deep that it's just black. You can't see anything floating in the water. You can't see anything floating on top. You can't see the bottom of, the pool in any capacity. It's like looking into water, thick, viscous water that becomes more and more pressurized the deeper you go, but no end in sight.
Pragmatism, as I said, dictates that I should know whom it is I serve.
What they believe in, what will be their replacement? The king replaced by Robespierre.
Mm.
Robespierre replaced by what?
That is not for me to answer. You probably have more of a capacity to answer that than I.
All that is left is France, Paris.
Indeed. And then
the
what?
belief that Robespierre has built. He may be gone. Will this not make him a martyr?
Perhaps he will become another version of Jean-Paul Marat, of another version of Marat. Maybe not. It very much depends on how his legacy is treated.
Or maybe people can finally have some space to think for themselves and not feel threatened to follow one belief just because a tyrant says them to.
She speaks practically.
I can see many things that could replace Robespierre, and it most certainly will not be a future king.
What do you have in mind? Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? If you don't want a country to be ruled by one, let it be ruled by several.
Will you be among them?
I'm not planning to.
I see.
Let the people rule themselves.
Yes, but has that not been... no, that time did pass, yes. Perhaps that will happen when Robespierre is removed. Can really
If I
see their
may,
humanity.
I am persuaded of several things. The first of which is the validity of your offer. That much is clear. What I'm not certain of is what the desired outcome will truly be. And it's hard for me to place any amount of trust in this when I, for my part, cannot be said to have seen to be saying anything unpraiseworthy of the K-Knight that you propose be deposed. And of course, any memory of our meeting here today would be a stake in the hand, the right grip.
Indeed.
So what I'm saying is this is a deal that needs to be sweetened.
I see.
I feel less than properly compelled.
Oh, you have made quite a point. Yes, now that we are here, you have killed us already.
Hmm.
I certainly
Some
hope
of you
not.
weren't already dead.
Hmm.
I can say that every time I walk out onto the streets, I fear that my head may roll once more.
It's a fear we share, and I am aware that this is a nasty position to be put in. What do each of you desire, then? Small or large? This is a large task. My regent asks of you, so your desires may be big, and I will take them to them, and I'm sure they'll listen. They're not unreasonable, for I'm not.
What do you think, Remy? Yeah.
I should
All
like to know
these
what Mael
years.
thinks.
Please go ahead. I'm not going to spoil the fun. I was just gonna say that all these years, Lucretia, you still look to Remy.
Of course, we are friends beyond blood. We got along so well, just like you, Miel.
And
Cannot
one would think that
deny.
after breaking that bond, you may have gathered some thoughts for yourself.
Oh, I have all the thoughts for myself. It is counsel with which I find so helpful. Your opinion so unique to yourself. Remy's unique to him. This nameless woman, hers are not unique.
What is it you desire?
Ultimately, to not be put in this situation, but it seems that we cannot go back.
If you would wish not to be put in this situation, perhaps you should have fled France in a revolution.
Ah, yes, but then how on earth would I have fought for what I believe in? Now I must fight for someone else's belief, a belief that I'm unclear of. So what price to pay to fight for unclear beliefs and to kill someone
Is it really
else's?
somebody else's you're fighting for?
It is your regent's. She's like tapping on the lectern. It is your
If you
regent's
don't
belief.
believe that Robespierre should be cut off, then just don't fight. Why fight for someone else's beliefs, right?
That is what but they are now offering things, and it seems I don't quite have the choice. I feel if I say no, this discussion will get out and I will be up.
You can say no if you desire. I don't want... It's dangerous
I
for me
was
to be
not
here
quite
as well.
born yesterday, my dear.
Who would make sure the conversation got out? Your old friends?
Just because it is the belief of another doesn't mean that it can't be yours as well.
But I must be swayed, told of what this belief is, but don't know quite what it is. It seems their belief is kill Robespierre, but that is an action, that is not a belief.
We are fighting for a blank banner, I believe.
I see.
Indeed.
You wish to know more about why they desire this?
Yeah,
Indeed.
yes.
Mm.
Of course.
He is killing large, ridiculously large amounts of people. My regent doesn't like this because it depletes the amount of blood ready in the streets, increases the amount of blood on the streets. It makes the resonance of the blood stagnant and false amongst the people as they are forced to behave in a particular way. And it puts your entire kind at ridiculous levels of danger, of execution for saying or believing or running with the wrong people. Looks towards you, Lucretia, you, Mael. So, they are doing it because They do not want to die. They do not want another tyrant at the head of this country that has seen one after the other for a very, very long time. Ever since it became a country, it has been ruled by tyrants. For a short time it wasn't. A time of great promise, of great happiness, of great thoughts and hopes for the future. And now that has been squashed under the banner of a cult of reason or threat of terror if you cannot live virtuously. And who can? All the time. No one.
Interesting. Just like looking around, being like pondering.
I think.
So equality seems amongst all the sects have us all fight and hope and pray that there is not a fight for power. There is no ego, that no one dare strive for power when there is freedom given. I hope in humanity, in liberty.
Indeed.
You must understand that if Robespierre falls, there is the matter of his pack.
Something that I also wish to discuss. Probably your greatest obstacle in all of this, given the fact they are chiefly responsible for weeding out those who should digress from his incorruptible word.
I'm something of a student of zeal. Theirs is unmatched. At the moment, theirs is a position of strength because they have a banner that is red, but it's something.
It's perhaps because it is the only one that is available for people to read. And we are in such a position currently where it is impossible to write another without attracting the attention of those who do not want to see it. I think the greatest combat to this little predicament we find ourselves in is numbers. If more people write new banners than they are able to just deal with by killing them in the middle of the Place de la Révolution, thereby destroying the problem then and there, what are they to do? If the new banners speak of something better, of something easier, of something that holds a belief that more can get behind, rather than one that people are forced to for the sake of survival.
I believe I heard an argument along this line. It was a few years ago, a simple message. I think it was bread, bread, bread.
It
Seems
is
you are
what
trying to make a revolution. You're just trying to begin it again from the beginning.
You are
belief.
not one to talk because you were against that first revolution, weren't you, Lucretia?
I was a part of the Women's March. Thank you very much.
A part on the opposite side.
No, I was part of
We're
it till we reached the Palace of Versailles.
It doesn't work like that. That doesn't make you part of it. That makes you against it.
We did witness it, and we saw what happened to the revolution, and we are here now. You want to start the process again, is that correct?
Do you not
That
think it
wasn't a
needs to
real revolution. That was a revolution that started the right way, but was corrupted by Robespierre on their one hand.
Huh? And this is different. How?
I know that you are fine with sitting on your ass like that and not fighting for it and watching other people fight for it. It's easy to judge if you don't fight for it as well.
No, I
But
am
people don't
asking,
just
how
give
do you
up.
know it will not be corrupted? This version. Who? We did not know at the beginning of the Women's March that Robespierre would turn this into what it is, did we? No.
If there was security about this revolution not being corrupted, then, well, it would have already happened months ago. But
Exactly.
yet, there is no reassurance. Is that enough reason to not fight? Maybe for you it is.
Just like to make more informed decisions sometimes about belief.
Again, we have established that our anarch friends have nothing but things to gain from this, ostensibly. And we have, of course, assured that our ivory towered friends would prefer to keep the black boots off of their necks. What I fail to see is how this ends in anything other than a shift in church leadership, and in all other ways a maintenance of the current hierarchy of things.
Within the Black Hand.
Do you not trust yourselves to make sure that doesn't happen?
Don't you want that to happen?
I don't.
How lovely to have heard one of your desires.
I still haven't heard any of yours.
Is that to Remy personally, or is that to the group?
She says it towards you, but you
Yeah.
feel it
It's a
reverberating.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can tell you what I want. I want assurances that if all of us are party to this enterprise, presuming you are convinced, I want to see more cards on the table, and I want a meeting with your regent.
It can be arranged. It will have to be at some point.
No doubt.
Your regent is so strong and powerful. Perhaps my desire is when all of this is done, the how would they feel about the reinstatement of the 3 states?
A good question. I'm not sure of their stance on that. What is yours?
Well, I simply believe it is a system that worked before. Perhaps a slight reshuffle. But ultimately, it's what got us in this horrible corrupt situation. I would more desire that when things happen, the Palais Royal is left alone, so that I don't have to pay so much money for my security all the time. I want the all 3 sects, not just the Camargue, to be left alone. I want Paris left alone. I want everybody to be able to do the things that they want to do.
I know that they share your desire in this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but they are not doing it.
No, they're not. But they are calling forth you, who, all 3 of you, don't seem to understand that you do have the ability to shape this how you want to. Being put in this situation is dangerous, yes, but at the same time it gives you an extraordinarily unique position to mediate potentially between all 3 sects. And
where have I seen 3 people working together that went poorly, it seems? I think you would be mistaken in the fact that we don't understand. It is our desire not to act in survival. I think you said getting involved in this is dangerous. It is why your regent is not doing it, because it is dangerous. We have had the ability to shape this whole thing the whole time. If we wanted to, we would have. We didn't, because we want to survive. But now we are being asked, so things are different. Apologies if we happen to take our time, considering that we may die or stab each other in the back as I give a sermon on the divine self.
The only difference why we didn't act before and, well, between then and now is that now we are not battling with just one sect, if we were to do that. You talk about not having tried to do anything in the past. I have. It failed.
With the support of more, do you think you could succeed?
I don't want to talk about if I think or don't think I will succeed, because it doesn't matter to me. I will try anyway.
That's heartening.
I don't care. It's what freedom is about, isn't it?
Yes.
Many have already died for their beliefs. What's one more?
Perhaps you would do us a brief courtesy. I would like to catch up with my old friends alone for a bit. Give us a moment to consider your offer.
Absolutely. More than understandable. I will step outside.
Thank you.
Come and get me if you need me once more.
Of course.
No listening in now. Shush, shush.
Afraid I lack the ability to even consider doing so.
Fantastic.
And she walks out the front and closes the door behind her, leaving you alone, 3 of you, in the club.
In spite of what she says, none of us should doubt her abilities. I'm afraid that at least in some respects, she's quite formidable.
Yes, it is clear that there is power held somewhere, considering this request is being made, considering our names were pulled.
How are you, Maya?
See you, my dear.
Is that asked out of genuine concern?
Yes.
Of course.
Well, I could just ask, because now that the bond is gone, well, who knows what feelings changed. As I said, better than I was.
You resent me.
I mean by
I
better.
most certainly do not.
Better how? Were you suffering before?
Let's say that my suffering before was due to none of your faults. And let's say that my suffering before, well, it's still going on, but in a different way.
Miel, I am so sorry.
I don't need pity.
So
Oh,
try
my...
not.
I could never pity you. You are too proficient in the things you do.
Yes.
But, you know, I suppose there was a time when it was expected that all of our burdens were shared, but it seems that perhaps that's never quite fully the case, is it?
Old habits, I guess.
Even then, though. You know, Mael, I know you have all you need, but if you want support with whatever this set of shackles may be, I know more than most that you like to break them.
What are you trying to get at?
I mean, whoever this interested third party is, they are interested in our combined efforts. And they might understand this and they might not. But the reason we were as successful as we were is that we looked to each other. And if there is something you need, you only need ask.
Perhaps something to get off your chest.
The only difference between then and now is that I can actually think for myself, which is a pleasant change, might I add.
I'm glad that you did not blame me or us for this condition. I'm just very curious. Who has done this to you, or what had done this to you? What are you free from?
No, if I could give you an answer to that, I would. But then again, if I could give you an answer to that, I wouldn't be risking my life fighting in whatever this is that she is proposing us to do.
You seem quite sold on this idea immediately.
Of course you
Would
are.
you mean to say that you stand behind the whole supreme being thing that
No,
she's
I am
trying to sell?
simply undecided. I do not like supporting unclarified ideas. To kill someone is what this whole thing is about. But you are immediately sold on the idea, and I would like to know, say you want to try, and if you want to try, I will support you, because that is more belief than what is being displayed.
I am concerned by this. I, frankly, would not put it past Robespierre himself to send an agent like this to test us. Now, why it would
Cool.
matter with the two of you, I hardly understand, but my
That's
position
a
is a little
great
different.
idea. No, yes, you are in quite the hard position, because this is all of the Sabbat issue, and we were Sabbat. So it is an interesting situation. The idea that they could be Robespierre, oh, that is quite dramatic, I think, but I would also not put it past him to test his divine self by sending some of the most proficient people in Paris.
In any case, even if it is not the Monsieur himself, then he or one of his agents will test me. And if that is the
Yes,
case, and we are in association, then you may fall under similar scrutiny.
indeed, yes, very true. Which is why those assurances must be put in place. The protection of those around us, diplomatic immunity.
And maybe that is why you need to understand my enthusiasm in all of this. See,
Indeed.
whilst you may not have had a scrutiny before I have, I've escaped the guillotine from him once before. I would hope to do so again if it happens. I'm not scared of Robespierre scrutiny,
Hmm.
and I
Good.
do not follow his beliefs. But apparently, one of us here, or maybe two, still do, and should look at Lucretia.
Mademoiselle, I have been under the scrutiny of Robespierre myself. You understand that everybody of my previous estate is dead. You know that there is perhaps three, maybe four other individuals who are barely alive, because if we step out dressed in a particular way, we are killed. If you think you are unique in your suffering under Robespierre, then I fear
I'm
it may
not
not
talking
have
about
been.
that. I'm talking
Oh,
about you using the words he uses as if you actually believe them. Talking
oh
about
no, no.
beings as their
Oh,
divine self.
I'm using them as weapons against that woman, because she is speaking what Robespierre believes to us. And I am
You
showing that
just
she is
talked
using
about
those words.
Robespierre as his divine self.
Yes, because that is what his church is called.
I believe Lucretia was being somewhat ironical.
Using the weapons, the words, against other people who believe the same thing but are using different words. Until you find out whose belief is what.
The subtleties of the aristocracy, yes?
Indeed.
Yes, the
Now,
subtleties of aristocracy, but then again, I
Do
think it
you
has
see
been
though?
proven in the past that Lucretia can follow the beliefs that are most loud at the time.
Yes, correct. You know me. It is no surprise that I do that, which is why I'm trying to find out what is loudest at the moment. And right now, this individual wishes to remove Robespierre, and he wants to place focus on each individual to rule themselves. Do you know what that sounds like? What does that sound like to you? That each individual be their own being. What does that sound like to you?
Don't lecture me, tell it.
It sounds like the divine self, does it not?
No, because there's a difference there. You
That
see,
being.
you don't talk about every person as being their own god.
you're correct.
You're just normal. You're just one of many.
After all,
Everyone is a god. Is
and what
everyone
is
then
creation?
not the same?
There is a difference.
I feel I must, if I may.
Mhm. Of course, Remy.
I know that what is being left unsaid here is the similarity between a gospel of sorts that you both used to help me profess and this very same.
Mhm.
I hope that it is clear where the corruptions lie and differences, but in case that has become clouded, my commitment to hearing the lessons of that one great voice and snatching the figments of that great dream has not been forestalled by the events outside of my little slice of our neighborhood. But I do not for a moment want you to believe that I mistake that voice for any kind of supreme being
course not.
that I have met.
No, no, no. We are all on the same page. I believe that we all want the same thing. We want to live our lives, not suppressed or anything like that. It
But
is simply the words we use around it.
we must
Yes.
understand that this person
Mhm.
is asking us to say what we want, and it is truly one of the most difficult things to draw out of a person, honestly. And I mean honestly.
Mhm.
So before we do so for this person,
Mhm.
we need to do it for ourselves. Because if I am to step between either of you and final death, I need to know
Mhm.
that it's for something I believe in as well. And I'm sure you want the same.
Indeed.
It used to be second nature for us. I long to have that again. Without shackles.
Yes, of course. Mm.
So, I'll tell you what I will ask for.
Oh,
Whoever this regent is, I want to drink with them.
ah, the river. Introduce them to the river.
I should like to be able to hold daytime appointments, yes.
Indeed. Yes.
But there are any number of things I should like to learn. And as the case may be, I should like to be able to make similar demands. Furthermore, what I want in a more mundane sense to be able to expand my enterprises. Yes?
Yes. Oh, spread your joyous plays elsewhere. Yes,
In a
yes.
manner of speaking, yes.
Mm.
But to multiple audiences, regardless of the power structure that is to come, I should like assurances of the kind. And this person's ability to grant those assurances, I think, will be telling. Because, truth be told, I'm not entirely convinced of their providence. Or their
I
provenance.
agree. It's very easy to say that you are powerful and influential, and not in fact be. Yeah.
Funny how you always keep asking me to voice my opinion before you voice yours.
I like to hear your opinion. I like to hear the opinions of those around me before formulating my own.
Oh, I know.
Yes,
I
good.
know. I don't want to have as enterprising ideals or as big as a demand as you may have. It's simple. Whoever this is, they might be able to help. Either change my vision on what freedom must be, but at least help me get rid of the shackles that I still wear. That, and I don't want the city to fall under one tyrant again.
Can you ask this person for the freedom you seek? Is it within their power to grant it to you?
Oh, I don't know.
I would like to know.
The only thing you can do is ask and keep finding, right? And
Yes.
believe me, I've already had a few times where I thought I had found freedom, but it keeps changing. So I'm not going to be optimistic about this. Every time I find freedom, I still find myself shackled. I would like for that to change.
Well then, if I'm loath to offer unasked for advice, but whatever the greatest version of that freedom is, whether it's the death of a specific Cainite or whether it is the removal of some institution, whatever it is, ask for it now. Let's watch this person and see what they can promise.
Lucretia, you ready to voice your own opinion?
I believe I would just like things to go back to the way they were, but then that didn't work the first time. Then there were tyrants ruling. Bringing back the royalty would not quite fix that solution either. The estates did not work. Religion did not. I am not sure. I have just about everything I need, really. It's just tense. I would like to wear pretty dresses outside and not be threatened with life. Hard to say.
Hmm.
What do you give the person who has everything? I would like to hang out more. I have not seen you in some time. I like to talk with you and with Remy, but I see Remy at his place of business.
Mm.
Um,
Well, there you see, Mael. With a choice between knowledge and freedom, Lucretia has taken your side. I hope we are flattered. Perhaps we should bring our associate back in and resolve our discussion.
I like that they don't have a name.
Hmm.
And then she goes to the door and she says, she opens it. Nameless woman.
Oh, you are done. Very good.
Much as we can be.
Of course, of course. Is everything all right?
No. But it seems
A
that we
loaded
have our
question,
desires in
sorry.
mind.
Oh, of
Yes.
course. What is it that you each desire in this case?
Oh, sure.
I'm so used to being the one to ask. I can't decide if it's refreshing or exhilarating. Perhaps both.
I hope so.
Your regent. I wish to share a cup with them. And, if I deem it necessary, their associates. I also wish to be able to expand my enterprises to more fashionable wards of the city, as well as others besides, and I wish to be granted licenses and protection from future incursions. And furthermore, I wish no reprisal if I should decide to expand my own pack or invite others into Paris. Do you think your regent can arrange that?
I think they just might be able. I will pass this on. And, as promised, there will inevitably be a meeting.
Very well, I am spent.
Well, that was tension that could cut right now. I'm assuming I'll go first, Lucretia.
Of course, of course.
I don't have any big demands as Remy here has. I merely want your regent to give me freedom and find out what that freedom is. See, I think this will go better in a conversation with him, but I really desperately long to truly be able to think and fight for myself. Yet there's something holding me back still.
I see. If you do not desire to be specific with me, as I said, a meeting will be arranged.
I will talk to him, thank you.
Certainly. That is more than doable.
Also, a slight side thing. I don't want Paris to be ruled by one tyrant after all of this is through.
Nor do I. Nor do they.
Hmm.
We have that in common.
Great.
My desires for your regent.
Yes.
I would like access to their contacts, perhaps a major boon, perhaps a life boon. I would like to be present in some of their council with others, and ensure that Paris is not ruled by a single entity. So I would like to be in discussions when that becomes apparent. I would like assurances that when we kill Robespierre and someone does rise up, because they will, and that I am not forced to deal with another one.
It seems as though we're all very much on the same page, more than I originally thought.
Yes, you made it quite difficult.
Well, I apologize for any lack of clarity about the fact that wanting Robespierre gone is indeed synonymous with wanting an end to tyranny.
Question is always what awaits beyond it.
Yes.
Well,
Isn't that the exciting part that you don't know?
one never knows. I don't think it's possible to. But if high morals and high hearts prevail, then we will see some real change about here for the better. The type of change that we tried to enact when the revolution first began, before it was corrupted.
Much more pragmatic. Is there anything else?
No, just advice regarding the three sects, as I'm sure you're already aware of. It will be difficult to get some of them to work together, more so than others, but as I said, the more numbers, the easier this will inevitably be. Among other kindred, Robespierre isn't popular. On the whole. I'm sure you know that, Madame de Visage. I'm sure you
Yes.
know that, Mademoiselle Cadieux. As for the Sabbat, well, they flock to him, but it's difficult to say.
Difficult to say.
Indeed. And as for the lieutenants, just be wary. I'm sure you already know that well, anyhow.
Firsthand.
I will arrange a meeting between you and my regent. They managed to get you all here quite efficiently. If that is not testament to their ability, hopefully a meeting with them will be, and you can discuss some of the things you desire in the process.
I
Well.
mean, sorry to say it, but manipulating one person to come convey a message isn't that wondrous. But I get what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Definitely.
Perhaps
Since we have agreed to your proposed meeting and set our terms, I wonder if that wins us the privilege of your name.
Yes.
Charisma, persuasion.
Can I give Dot? I would like to give Dot.
Give Dot.
Give Dot.
I mean, you can assist him in any way and then give him a +1 penalty.
Yes.
Charisma.
Yep.
I'm gonna rouse
+1
that
dice.
charisma.
Yeah, baby. Good luck.
Let's go.
It's time. Okay. I'm getting hungry. Yeah.
Oh
Getting
boy.
hungrier in here. I'm at hunger 3.
Jesus.
Here we go. I am
Save some
hungry
for
though.
the rest of us. Damn.
Wait, do I get an extra dice? I can't remember if we
Mhm.
set up. Let's add that. That's gonna be important. It's the hunger dice. That's what I'm adding.
Yay.
Okay. Ooh, me. That's a messy crit. Okay.
Oh.
Here we
For
go.
hunger, here we go.
That is 8 successes
8 successes and a
Wow.
messy
on a
crit.
messy crit. Yeah.
I'll make a note of that.
Oh, good.
But with 8 successes, she looks down, sort of battles with herself for a moment, even, perhaps, and says, of course, if it'll make you feel better, even, Gisette Morel. Nothing altogether special.
Mademoiselle Morel. I disagree.
Has the alliteration thing going on.
Much power in a name.
Indeed.
To assassinate then. and Lucretia will turn around and just walk away.
Certainly.
She'll wait outside though. She'll like go
She's
to
just
the
got
fountain.
stuff to communicate.
She's just like,
Bonsoir then.
Bonsoir. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you again.
Don't thank us yet.
Very well. And you will leave her behind in the Cordelia's club. Before we end, is there any words between you would like to have together?
I think any words we will still have will be quite a lengthy conversation, probably.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe we can agree to meet at the theater sometime soon. Have a chat.
yes.
Taking a show. I know Mael's into it.
Oh, exciting. Yes.
Very well. You agree to meet at Le Bon Diable soon enough. Probably this night or the next night, something akin to that. And as you perhaps part ways for now, perhaps make your way there too, we'll pause the story here and pick it up next session. Thank you everybody so much for coming and enjoying the game with us. It was lovely to play and exciting to begin. So the seeds of political edginess, I suppose, that's gonna, sort of come out more and more as we go on. I'm Beck. I've been your storyteller for this evening's session. It was lovely to have you. And before we end off, we'll go around and introduce ourselves. Let us know what you're doing, where we can find you, what you're up to, all of that stuff.
Shall I start?
Yes, same order.
Okay. I am Adam Hembry. I've been playing Remy. And you can find me on Twitter at Adam Hembry. And let's see. Oh, you can also check out, I've got a Dungeons and Dragons stream that is in Shakespeare style with my troupe, the Soothplayers. We've got a comedy festival show going on right now, but it might be wrapping up by the time this goes up. But anyway, you can find our stream on YouTube. It's called Bardic Inspiration or Bardic_inspo on all the social media places. Thanks.
I'm Jack. I have been playing Madame la Comtesse de Visage, the Toriador. I can be found at Dr. Radiance on Twitter, and have posted a channel summary on my YouTube that will soon become a whole roleplay tips and advice. Sit down with your friend and they tell you how to help kind of thing. And I'm also playing in Beck's games and other things together, so.
And I am Syrinx. I have been playing Marielle Cadieux. And I'm just a cosplayer and TTRPG player that you can find on Instagram and Twitter under my name, Syrinx. But I don't really have any special things to promote, so that's it.
You're here.
Yeah.
I am. I will promote this show. Thank you.
Oh gosh. Again, thank you everybody so much for coming, and thanks to amazing players. As usual, you guys are awesome, and we will see you next time for the continuation of the story. Have a good one, everyone, and take care.